Hello everybody, this is HD Shaves here. I'm back from the video. Hope this finds you well and in good spirits. Today we have a relatively straightforward shave today. However, I first must highlight this very special new thing to the den. And as you can see here, it is a brush from Whiskers. So Soap Thing has, that's the name of a shaving YouTube channel. He's been on YouTube, I think maybe, I don't really know, but let me guess, say he's been on YouTube for a year. And he makes some interesting videos that I think are relatively entertaining. And he's definitely got a lot more production value and puts a lot more effort into that than I do. So I'll include a link to his channel. And specifically, I'll link to the interview he did with Peter of Whiskers. It was interesting to learn about Peter's process a little bit, and I was the lucky winner of this brush that was given away. So first I want to show you that Peter signed the side of the box, which I thought was cool. And why don't I show you the brush, and then I will show you the description of the brush. So here it is. This is a stunning handle. I wouldn't have entered the giveaway if I didn't think it was a beautiful handle that I just simply couldn't pass up the opportunity to possibly win, especially at this point in my kind of shaving career, if you will. And I like how on the inside of every box it tells you exactly what you have. So also it was interesting to learn that this number at the bottom, I see where it says number 223-4078. I think what that means is, obviously he made the brush this year, and it's maybe his he's made over 4,000 brushes in his time, which is pretty crazy. So I'm just absolutely in love with the handle, and this is a 22 millimeter bulb synthetic knot from TGN, the golden nib. I've never tried one of their knots, and it's been a long time since I've used a 22 millimeter knot. So I would say the jury's still out about the knot, but I'm looking forward to giving this a go today for the first time. I've cleaned it once or twice, did some test lathers. The backbone seemed to be pretty good. And yeah, I want to thank Soap Thing and Peter just one more time. Thanks very much for this awesome gift. Peter, look forward to meeting you if you see this at the Maggard meetup in June. And I don't think Soap Thing's going to be making it to that given where he lives. I won't spoil that. Okay, for the soap today, we're using Noble Otter Orbit. And I started using the soap for the simple reason that it is the next lowest one in my den to finish off. You can see there's a little glimmer of the bottom of the tub in the middle there. So I've still got a ways to go with this, but I'm looking for low-hanging fruit at the moment for things to finish off using the Zenith brush that I recently got in. We're going to be sticking with my favorite razor of the past good while, the Karve Overlander, and I have a Polsilver super Iridium blade in there, and then we'll be finishing off with Unscented Liniment from Decoration Grooming. Okay, great. Let's get some warm water on the face. And as you can tell, I am not exactly looking my best. Fortunately, I'll start to look better in a couple days maybe. And good news is I'm feeling a little bit better. That thing can take some more time to change, I guess. But yeah, it's been quite a week. We finally made it to Friday. I just wet this knot through. We'll shake it out. And let's start loading the soap. I'm going to try not to overload this because that's what I've grown accustomed to doing with that new boar brush. But it's simply not necessary with a small synthetic brush like this. I bet you could get away with not loading very much soap at all with a brush like this. So let's go to 30 seconds or so. I haven't needed to add any water to the puck yet. Let's stop there. It's very difficult to stop there for somebody like me, but I have a feeling it's going to work out. So So here we go. We're going straight in. Okay. The knot is a little, I'm not sure if that's easy to show, but it is a little springy when you splay it, but it's not, I think the loft is set appropriately. It's not set too deep. So that's good. And I'm starting to feel the synthetic cooling of the soap. And I would argue, you know, that maybe back in the day, I don't know, in my mind, 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe the standard knot size was 24 millimeters. This is a 22 millimeter, which I feel like is pretty rare to see somebody using these days if they're kind of newer to the hobby. But, you know, it's like with, for example, watches, that kind of comes to mind. The trend for a long time was to make these bigger watches. And now the trend is sort of come back down to make them more sized like watches from the, you know, 70s, 80s. And basically I don't think it's a bad thing to use a smaller than usual knot, so long as you're comfortable with it. And I tell people the same thing about watches too. Sometimes people, they'll, you know, a watchmaker will offer two basically the same watch, but one's at a bigger case size than the other. And sometimes people have difficulty saying, no, I'll just go for the smaller one. So I try to encourage people to do that. Let's do a touch more water. Maybe more than a touch. Let's start with this today. This is the version 2 of the Noble Otter base, which is to say that I think they're on 3 now. I didn't ever notice too much of a difference between version 2 and version 3, so I'm perfectly content with my slightly outdated soap here. Okay, let's start with the first pass with the Karve Polsilver blade. Can't believe February is coming to a close soon. The month has absolutely flown by, and I hope everybody made out okay with the really extreme weather we had in this country this past week. I know down in Texas and Florida, places that I used to live, it was 80, 90 degrees or something, which is rare even for those dates at this time of year anyway. And then what was surprising here for us is that we had a storm on, what was that, Wednesday? Yeah. And it stayed rain. It never turned to snow. We just got pummeled with rain all that day. but I know not far north in Wisconsin, I know it turned to snow there. And sort of lost my train of thought there. But yeah, it's almost March, and I'm very much looking forward to spring break, which for me, that's the last week of March, and I'll be sure to tell you more about that when we get closer to it. Okay, first pass done. I'll rinse and bring you back in for the second in just a moment. Here's pass number 2 with Orbit and the Wolf Whiskers brush. Okay, pass number 2, across the grain mostly. And to talk a little bit more about Wolf Whiskers, like I said, they've been around for quite some time. And I used to think that they only really dealt in the handle side of things, but someone told me that a number of years ago, Peter had he had his own synthetic knot that was basically the kind of Timberwolf knot that a number of companies sell these days. But as far as I understand, he was one of the first to bring it to market. And now I can't picture a synthetic brush world without that Timberwolf knot. That was really my favorite for a long time. I have 2 brushes with those knots in them, and depending on the trip, one or the other always ends up being my travel brush. However, I could also see this Wolf Whiskers brush becoming my go-to travel brush. And one thing that I admire about Peter is that, at least since I've been in the hobby, he's managed to impress people in all corners of the hobby. So I won't mention names, but there are some brush makers that clearly seem to have their niche audience, if you will. Like as if hobbyist wet shaving isn't niche enough. Some brush makers will be, they will dominate a certain forum or social media space, but Peter seems to be universally loved, and I could definitely see the argument where someone would say that he makes the best brushes in our U.S. artisan brush space. So can't speak highly of Peter enough. Okay, that was my second pass. Kind of forgot. It seemed like I was doing third sometimes, but I think I got it straightened out. And I'll rinse and we'll do our final third pass. Final third pass. Okay, and here's the third pass against the grain mostly. It's not much hair left. So I'll try to go very lightly here. Still really enjoying the Karve Overlander, like I said. I'll throw out this blanket statement again, which is, if you think we have similar taste in razors, I can highly recommend that you check this one out. And I haven't looked in a while, but I think the stock is, well, that's actually not true. I think depending on the material you want, like they have some in stock, but some materials aren't. So if you're flexible, I think you know, you can get any of them. But also in the past, I think it was for the aluminum Christopher Bradley, which was in high demand for a while. I remember I clicked the email me when this comes ready again, and they did actually email me, and I was able to get one that way. So you could also go for that option. Yeah, just a great little razor, very intuitive, and I feel like in the past couple weeks I've been testing how careless I can be while using this razor, and I've had a couple little issues, but it's not what do people say? They say a razor bites, right? This razor doesn't bite very much. It maybe nibbles at you. So yeah, hard to mess up when you're using this kind of razor. Just feeling around. It feels very good, very comfortable shave. So can't argue with that. I'm gonna do my final rinse and come back and talk to you over post shave. Okay, just did my usual cold water rinse. Left a little bit of residual moisture on there because this Liniment is a thick product. However, you don't need to use much of it. I use about that much for my face, and it's about 20 degrees Fahrenheit out there at the moment. Looks kind of sunny though, which seems promising, but there are certain things in winter that I'll say, you know, it's like on a day this cold, if you're not using Liniment, then when else are you going to use Liniment? I say the same thing about the Russian hat with the flaps on it, which I later learned was actually a Ukrainian thing maybe, but I'm forgetting the actual name of that. Anyway, I have a similar saying about that hat, which is if it's like freezing and you're not wearing that hat, if you own one, then what else are you going to wear? So always thinking about the winter use case, to use a business term. Okay, so that was the Liniment. Once again, we used the Karve Overlander, which was excellent. I rinsed out, well, mostly. I rinsed out Orbit there. And finally, let's see if I can get this all right. This is a Bishop shape Tranquility color theme. 22 millimeter gold nib bulb knot. Maybe, I never considered that, but maybe the kind of pushy feeling that I had was from the fact that it's a bulb and not a fan. But it really could have been much worse in terms of the knot. So I'm going to give this a few more uses, and I'm sure I'll grow accustomed to it. So once again, just very pleased with this brush, easy to hold, and happy to have it. Okay, thank you all so much if you made it this far in the video. As always, feel free to leave a comment or question down below. And this has been HD Shaves. Take care. We'll see you again next time. Goodbye.